Hi, my name is Alana Stry with Alana Stry Realty Group. We are so excited that you chose our team to help you out with one of your biggest decisions of your lives. We're really pumped to make sure that this process is fast, fun, easy, and enjoyable for you. We're really excited that you're going to be out here buying in San Diego, and we want to talk a little bit about the process and how it's going to work, especially our first meeting. So during our first meeting, we'll get to know each other a little bit. Whether you're a referral or you found us online or we know each other personally, I'd still like to know what your motivation for buying is, what your timelines are, and what you're looking for, kind of like your priority list, right? So we'll do that and we'll get to know each other better. We'll talk about neighborhoods, we'll talk about commute times, we'll talk about your priorities with where you want to live. Next, we're going to go over the entire financial process. So I'm going to do that right now. So that way the first time we go over it, it sounds familiar and you're not completely overwhelmed. The meeting can feel a little bit like a fire hose and I tend to get excited. So I want you to feel comfortable and confident. So the important part that we're going to start with is your monthly payment. That's the best thing to work backward from. If you're not from San Diego, our housing prices can be intimidating, and that's not how we're going to focus. Your monthly payment consists of 4 different things. It's your principal, your interest, your taxes, and your insurance. So the principal and interest are going to fluctuate. So when they're talking about interest rates on the news, this is what they're talking about, your interest rate for your mortgage. So this is the interest rate and the amount of money that you borrow. So your principal and interest, we'll say right now, as I'm filming this in April of 2022, we'll give you about a 4.5% interest rate for that principal and interest assumption. Now your next part are the taxes and insurance. These are property taxes and homeowners insurance, not your mortgage insurance like they talk about online, PMI, that kind of thing. This is just your regular old homeowners insurance, the same way you have to have car insurance. In most of San Diego County, both your property taxes and your homeowners insurance are going to be about 2%. So if we said that your mortgage interest rate is 4.5% right now, and then we said your taxes and insurance are going to be about 2%, together those are 6.5%. The best part about this is that we can then say for every $100,000 that you borrow, you multiply it by that 6.5%, and your monthly payment is $650. So if you're going to borrow $400,000, then your monthly payment is going to be $2,600. You can extrapolate from there. So say you're going to borrow 600, your monthly payment is going to be closer to 3,900, right? So 650 times 6. So remember, we're doing that with your principal, interest, taxes, and insurance. So say that right now we're working backward with a budget of under $3,000 because you want to keep it under BAH. We're going to try and keep your loan amount under $500,000. You can reduce your loan amount by putting money down, but with the VA loan, you don't have to put any money down. That being said, I know the numbers part is the most exciting part for me and probably not for anybody else, but let's talk a little bit more about what kind of money I do need to see, even if you aren't going to put any money down with your VA loan. You do not pay me. We are compensated directly by the seller upon close of escrow. So we have a fiduciary responsibility to act on your behalf and make sure that we negotiate the best price for you, but we still get you the property that you want. So never ever do we have a transaction where there's anything that where you and I negotiate. I purely work for you, as does our team. So that being said, I do need to see a little bit of cash. So this is going to be used towards your earnest money deposit. The earnest money deposit is typically 1 to 3% of the purchase price. If you're doing a VA loan, 1% is very standard and no one's going to be surprised to see it. If you decide to put down more money, like if you're doing a 20% down conventional loan, then they would want to see 3%. This earnest money deposit is completely protected the entire time. So while you're doing your due diligence period and we go through our inspections, we review the disclosures, we wait for the appraisal, we do any additional inspections, that money is being held by an escrow company, which is the middleman. The escrow company is paid by both sides, the seller side and the buyer side. So they're an unbiased middleman that's going to be holding onto the money and crossing our T's and dotting our I's. So this money is protected. That's why it's called a deposit. If we uncover something during our due diligence period that we cannot get over, and we just think, okay, hey, it's not a repair that's going to be made, or oh, this is just not going to work for us, whatever reason it may be, you can cancel and get the entire earnest money deposit back. So you're going to be out the cost of a home inspection if you already paid for it. If the appraisal's been conducted, you'll be out the cost of the appraisal as well, but the rest of your earnest money deposit is protected. So for a $600,000 home, we're looking for about $6,000 for you to have free to wire. The other money that I would like to see liquid is going to be about $500, $550 to schedule the home inspection. So the home inspection is part of our due diligence period, and these are called contingencies. So the contingencies are what protect your earnest money deposit deposit that's being held by escrow. During the home inspection process, we're going to go through a 70-point checklist, and they're all using the same metric. Importantly, in California, the seller is not required to acknowledge your request for repairs, much less perform any repairs. Seller is only required to do 3 things. The first one is to make sure that the water heater is braced a third from the top and a third from the bottom, of course. The second one is going to be that they have carbon monoxide detectors and smoke detectors. Third one in San Diego Water District is going to be low flow plumbing fixtures. If the seller doesn't currently have low flow plumbing fixtures, we can request that they do it during our request for repair period, but they also might say, no, here's this obligation. Then you'll have 1 year to replace the plumbing fixtures that are currently in the property with low flow plumbing fixtures and file it with the city. So remember, when we're doing our due diligence period, it's more of an awareness of things that you might potentially do in the future for the house. Now, something that's a little bit of peace of mind is you get a home warranty. I will always negotiate that the seller pays for the home warranty. And if I can't get that done, I'll give it to you my treat. So the home warranty will last up through a year, and you'll pay a service fee and they'll come out and repair things. It's a nice little peace of mind, especially if you're a first-time buyer. It makes you feel better. There's also a roof warranty add-on, and it's a little bit more expensive. I think it's $150. And if you decide to do that, they'll come out and do annual maintenance as a part of that roof warranty. So just another good to have. Additional inspections that we recommend are the pipe and sewer inspection if the property is older than 1980, because it might have cast iron or clay piping, and that can have root intrusion and buildup. So we want to just make sure that you're going in there knowing that you're not buying a lemon or just a bunch of work to do when you're purchasing your property. So we talked about money a little bit, and we talked about that 1% earnest money deposit, right? So what happens to that earnest money deposit at the end? Well, when we're estimating how much it costs to buy a home, you do have what are called closing costs. Closing costs pay that title company, they pay the escrow company, they pay for your appraisal, they pay for various other fees throughout the process, including prepaying your property taxes and putting them together to the sites. That way you're ready to remit them. Your escrow company and your mortgager will remit them on your behalf biannually, but that way that little kitty is filled up already. So that all gets factored into your closing costs. And that's why we like to do a rough estimate of 2%, because depending on when in the year you close, then you find out how much money they need to fill it up. If they were just paid, then you don't have to refill that much money. But if you're 5 months into that cycle, then you're going to need a pretty penny to have to be prepared. So those 2% closing costs can be paid 3 different ways. So the first one would be the earnest money deposit getting credited toward that closing cost. So remember, the earnest money deposit is 1%. We're saying closing costs are 2%. Well, if they already have 1% there because it's gone from your earnest money deposit, you would just need to pay that other 1% cash. Now, alternatively, you can always request a credit from the seller. So a credit from the seller could be negotiated initially, or it could be something they decide to give you instead of repairing anything. So if you get a credit from the seller after a request for repairs, you're not going to get a check at the end. It's going to get credited towards your closing costs, and then you'll just have to bring less cash to close at the close of escrow. So the third option is going to be a lender credit. So the lender would give you a slightly higher interest rate, and then he would give you a credit. So you would need less cash to close. Example, I purchased a place for $700,000. I asked for a 2% credit from the sellers. They said, no, we'll give you 1%. So I wrote a check for $7,000 for my earnest money deposit. The sellers gave me that 1% credit of $7,000, and then I was done, and I didn't have to bring any more money when I was closing escrow. So it's a good way to work around it. But if they have like for like offers and there's somebody else out there, we usually can't get a seller credit, because why would they net less money just to help us out? So just go in there being prepared, knowing that you really could get a lender credit for all of it, but you will have a higher interest rate, which will mean a higher mortgage payment for you. So we've talked about now your monthly payment being your principal, interest, taxes, and insurance. We've talked about your agency period during your due diligence period. We've talked about closing costs and your earnest money deposit. And the last thing, if you're a conventional buyer, you can zone out right now. But if you're a VA buyer, you're going to have what's called a VA funding fee. The VA funding fee is unavoidable. It is basically the VA's way of making sure that you don't default on the loan. And if you do, that they have a little bit of insurance. So the VA funding fee is 2.3% if you put down no money. Now, this funding fee it will be wrapped up into your loan. So when you see that your loan amount is higher than your purchase price, it's usually because of the funding fee. So 2.3% if you put down 0% down payment. If you put down 5% or more down payment, your funding fee is reduced to 1.65%. If you put down 10% or more, your funding fee is reduced to 1.4%. So you should work with your lender and see what makes the most sense for you, given current interest rates and how your money is doing in the market or whatever else is happening with your money. If you're a repeat buyer and you choose not to put, you're a repeat user of your VA loan and you choose not to put any money down, your funding fee increases significantly. So we would usually suggest that you would actually put money down in that scenario, although you might not choose to do it if you're a first-time buyer. The third thing that I wanted to point out about that, though, is if you have a disability rating of 10% or higher, your funding fee is waived forever. So you can use your VA loan as many times as you want and not have to pay that funding fee, which is really exciting. Also, if you start your claim during the process, even if you haven't already gotten a disability rating, you'll get refunded once you're awarded your rating. So don't worry about it and don't forget to file for disability. Tinnitus is 10% and they can't test for it. This video because I want to make sure I spend more time with my clients, getting to know them and making sure that we build you the perfect certain stuff, and we would set it up and we would get ready to go shopping. Thank you so much for watching, and we're really, really excited to help you out. I have a fantastic team that I trust wholeheartedly, and we love our job helping fellow veterans get out there and use their VA loan, which is truly the best benefit to better themselves. Thanks. See you soon.